Happy Thursday night, listeners. Welcome to Women on Words, the podcast where we talk life, love, and literature. I'm author Sierra London, and along with my co-host, author Ella Wren, we are so happy to welcome our guest tonight, Confidence Coach Lee Mariano. Ladies, y'all with me?
We're here.
I'm here.
Awesome. I'm so glad to have you back on the show, Lee. And I'm going to tell you why. So we're approaching about a year in quarantine. Next month, starting Monday, we'll be approaching a year that our country and much of the world have been in quarantine. And I really want to delve in tonight and talk about how do we have confidence in such an uncertain time? Like, where do we start? Where do we start? Because I have been reevaluating so many things in my life over the last, 11, 12 months. I was in class. I was in your class on Saturday, self-confidence to level up your life. I was there. I got my little packet completed. I got my homework printed out and everything. And I was so delighted to be in your class, Self-Discipline to Level Up Your Life, because I've found that I've had a challenging time being more disciplined, maintaining my discipline during quarantine. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell me what to do.
So, I think really, everyone has been going through a challenge this past year, even before, but really if we focus on this past year, I think life has thrown us a curveball. I think what we've been going through is, everything that's happening to us, we've gotten off kilter. And we are trying to survive in a world that we don't really recognize anymore. And so the things that used to work for us aren't working anymore. The ways of operating, the ways of making ourselves feel good and valued and positive, they aren't working anymore. And so here's what I say for anyone listening. If you are right now struggling to build your confidence or you're struggling to create some self-discipline so you can continue to push forward and put one foot in front of the other, the first thing I would say is know what you're pushing for. What are you trying to accomplish, and who are you trying to accomplish it for? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it because you need something to keep you motivated? Are you doing it because you're trying to create something better for your future, for your life? That's the first step, is really trying to understand what are you doing it for, and who are you doing it for, and what are you trying to accomplish? Because once you know that, then everything else flows from that, right? If you know that what you need to do is to, I'm going to take writing books, for example. If you know that you want to publish 8 books in 2021, that is your end point. That is your net. That is where you're trying to go to. So everything else works, you track it back. Like if I need to publish 8 books this year, then what is the first step? Well, the first step is deciding what is the first book. What first book am I going to write? When do I need to write it? When do I need to finish it? When do I need to publish it? Second book, right? So it's these things that as you are tracking back, the discipline comes in knowing what you are trying to accomplish and who you're trying to accomplish it for, and then you track it backwards.
Okay. So I got some things to think about. I really do. I really do. And Lisa, can I ask another question?
Sure.
All right. Y'all know we're supposed to be trading off, but y'all know how I get, right? All these questions start flowing through my head, and it's hard for me to turn it off. So, Lee, tell us how did you even get to the point where you could come up with these steps that you just shared with us? Like, how do you do that? How do you do it for yourself? And then how and you get to the point where you're teaching other people to do it. Like, how do you do that?
It takes a lot of self-reflection. It took a lot of self-reflection because I personally needed to look at what I was doing, right? I've accomplished things over my life. I've accomplished, I'm a writer. I publish books, one or two books maybe I've published, right?
Mm-hmm. At a time. I know some of them, just a few.
Out there, right? I've done things where I've made it in the corporate world. I've done all these things. I was, but sometimes I've had to step back and say to myself, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your career? What are you doing? What are you trying to accomplish? Because I have all these great goals that I'm trying to do for myself. I had all these things I wanted to do. And I would I would try and focus on everything instead of just one thing. And I wasn't sure where I was trying to go. I just knew I wanted to get there. And so years ago, I started really sitting myself down and saying, and it's so funny, I would do it on a 8.5 by 11 lined paper, and I would write down my goals on that lined paper every single month. I would do a budget for myself, and then I would write down my goals and I would sit there with my little pen, right? Because I knew if I was going to do something, I needed to know what I was going to do it, why was I doing it? What was I trying to accomplish? And that's how I first started really getting into setting goals and self-discipline and, identifying what I needed to do to make my own life better. And it's just carried over through the years. And what I realized is that if I don't have a roadmap for my life, then I'm just going to walk around in circles. Mm-hmm. If I don't know where I'm going, then I'm never going to get there. I'm just going to be walking around aimlessly like some crazy person who don't know what they're doing with their life. And so I use that practice over the years to know if I want to change my life, if I want to change careers, if I want to do something big and bold and brash and brave, well, I first need to decide what is that thing I'm trying to do. And once I know that, I need to reconfirm, am I doing it for the right reason? And once I do that and say, yes, I am doing it for the right reasons, okay, Lee, then how are you going to get it done? Mm-hmm. What does it take to get it done? And so that's a practice I've had, for so many years in my life because I had to do it for myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I absolutely agree that especially with writing down your goals and making sure that you know where you're going. I have a question as far as how frequent you should write them down because you say you did it monthly. A lot of times writers will, at the end of the year, they'll map out their whole year. So do you think it's more beneficial to do it on an annual basis or monthly, or does it depend on the person?
So I think that depends on the person. That's a great question. So I do think it depends on the person, and it depends on what is involved in your writing schedule, how many books you're planning to write. Are you writing series or are you writing individual books? Are you in anthologies with other authors or are you only releasing singles under your name? And so here's what I do, and people may do it differently, but here's just one approach, is I have an Excel spreadsheet. And on that Excel spreadsheet, I have my writing schedule. And it's color-coded, so book A is blue, book B is yellow, right? And I go through and I designate what day do I start writing the book, what day do I expect to end writing that book, when is that book due to be published, when do I need the cover, all of the pertinent facts of that book. And I write every book that is in my head, I put it on that Excel spreadsheet. If it's something that I'm doing for someone else, if it's something that I'm doing for myself, it's on that spreadsheet. And my spreadsheet today goes into October 2022, my schedule, right? Now, I look at that schedule once a month because you are constantly writing. You're constantly moving forward. So as soon as you finish one book, that the information for that book, it's now removed. And everything else now is what is in the future. What are you doing now, right? What is the focus, right? So, yes, it's a monthly review, I would say, because you're making sure that you're on track, that you're doing the things that you planned for yourself, that the books that you said you were going to write, you're on track to write, and you're constantly monitoring your progress. So again, my books right now are scheduled out through October 2022. That may not be for everyone. Someone may say, you know what, all I got is 6 months in me. That's all I got. That's all I got. Someone else may say, all I got is a year. You know, I want to plan it that it goes no further than a year because that's just the schedule I want. So, but I would say have that visual for yourself so that you personally can track and understand what goals you're shooting for in your release schedule, and then the plan, the execution plan, is tracking it on the Excel spreadsheet for me. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, I
Definitely.
mean, that is wonderful. I am definitely the annual person, and I break things down quarterly. I admire all the people who can track out to almost the end of the following year and not lose all their hair in the front. I'm sure I would, but that's just me. Now, my next question, it goes back to the word confidence. Obviously, you're a very goal-oriented person to begin with. It sounds like that's just a part of your framework and how you look at life. But I have to ask you, for the folks who may be struggling with it, what do you do if you lack confidence in an area that you want to achieve in? You want to write that book. You want to open that business. You want to start that next project. You want to start saving for a house, but you lack the confidence in your ability to get that done. What do we say to that person?
Right. So that is actually something I want to say I maybe even talked about that earlier today in my Facebook group, is that once you know your goal, what you want to do, you want to write the book, right? Once you know why you're doing it, you first have to have faith in yourself. And I know that's easier said than done, but you have to believe that you can do it, because we hear so much chatter. We hear the negativity. We hear people telling us, you can't do that. You're not smart enough. You can't do that. Black girls don't write romance books. You can't do that. Black girls don't write science fiction books. Whatever the negative words are, we've heard them so long that we have begun to believe these words. And so when we start thinking about, I want to do something different in my life, but I don't feel I'm the one to do it, no one's going to buy my book, no one's going to enjoy the story, here's what I tell people: stop. And again, it's easier said than done, but you have to stop. When you hear yourself saying those negative words, when you hear the negative chatter, you have to pay attention. You have to stand up and you have to pay attention, and you have to recognize that voice is fear. That's all that voice is. You're scared. You're afraid. You're afraid of rejection. You're afraid of failing. You're afraid of others judging you if you don't make it the way that you want. And you have to understand that all of that negativity coming your way, it's because of fear. And if you don't believe in yourself, then how can you expect anyone else to believe in you and what you can accomplish? If you don't believe you can write that book, why would anyone buy the book? You have to go out and you have to step out in this world with your head held high. And even as daggers are coming to you and rejection and people judging you, you have to believe in yourself enough that you simply have to take one step. Take one step. Even if you never